Olaf, yesterday we spoke about tapping into the subconscious of a collective. That was truly eye-opening. Could you elaborate? And secondly, why negative thoughts and feelings are so important and necessary to realize exceptional behavior and disruptive outcome?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was we had a good talk yesterday, and I made a few notes, and I'm happy to share it with you and with the people listening. So both questions are intriguing. So the subconsciousness of a collective, we know about individuals having a consciousness. Subconsciousness is already often like acacadabra, like what is that? What is playing in the background? What is it that is going on in our mind that we're not conscious of? Second question, of course, is intriguing because indeed it's critically important. The negative thoughts and feelings are critically important to move a whole forward, and which today in 2023 is almost, people are almost in denial about it. Anything that is not positive, cannot contribute, and it's very hard to give that a place. So even a little bit of stage time. So it's cool to have those two topics and talk about it for the next few minutes. So what is subconsciousness? In human words, it is basically the system inside us that we are not aware of, that we're not conscious of, but that protects us, that runs in the background of anything we do, and that tries to avoid that we make mistakes. So basically in ourselves, we have two systems running, one that does what it has to do and one that protects us. It's basically our underbelly, and we often talk about underbelly, we talk about understream, we also talk about what is really going on? What is something really? And so every time we use the word really or exactly, these people basically are tapping into their subconsciousness. That can be something that we feel is missing. It can also be something that bothers us or a concern that we're having. But what is always typical for it is that we cannot put our finger on it. Now, if we bring this from the individual to the collective, why is the collective so important? Because when an individual cannot put his finger or her finger on something, then maybe others can. So it's always interesting to involve other people, because we often cannot say what is playing subconsciously, what we feel is true or what we feel should happen. But when we say that others are feeling that, then we say like, yeah, that's it. So we easily recognize our subconsciousness in others, but we have difficulty in expressing it. And so the process that is needed is that of what we call relational facilitation. And so we always, to get your subconsciousness out, you need to talk to someone who also talks to other people, who then brings those points of view to you. And in that triangle, we can basically surface what was not really, what you knew was missing. So why is this process important? Of course, to achieve some sort of an agreement also with others about that there are other things that are important, and that when other things are really true, then also other things should really be done. So this process of relational facilitation is not just to get to the surface what exactly our subconsciousness is, but also then what the consequences should be on our behaviors. And it is clear that from our consciousness, we do what we believe should be done. But from our subconsciousness, we believe what truly should be done. But these behaviors then also will be truly exceptional. And then we can actually realize the full potential. Because the subconsciousness is protecting ourselves, meaning that we want to get the best out of ourselves and the environment. But we first need to gain access to those ideas and thoughts. So that was the first part of your question, I think. And the second part is then, and it actually, of course, is associated, like where does this negativity come from? Because we now spoke about subconsciousness, so you can surface that, and that's great. But where, and of course, like when there is something that you cannot put your finger on, then there's always a little bit of frustration. And it can go from 0% to 100%, but there's always like, how come that I feel something that I cannot put on the words? So there is frustration. Now that frustration can become bigger when you feel that it is something really important, because then you get frustrated because you feel that it is important to get it out. But the frustration can become even bigger when you feel that you're the only one who is feeling it. So, and there comes again the subconsciousness of the collective, meaning that people can be really frustrated that they feel that something is missing and that they look around and that everybody seems to go about things as if nothing is missing. And then you get frustrated not so much about the thing that is missing, but about the fact that other people are not seeing it. And actually what we now know is that the biggest innovators in the world were, of course, very alone in their observation that something needed to change, because they were the first to feel something. So the real innovators, the big disruptors, at some point in time were the only ones who see or saw something. And there comes this huge frustration. And it means, of course, that what the assignment of an environment is to be very sensitive to these singular mavericks, voices, who are deeply frustrated, both about what is missing, what should be done, but mostly about that other people don't see it. And there again comes this process of relational facilitation, because we do not only manage their subconsciousness, we also manage their relationship with others. We need to mediate, because these people can become really angry towards the environment to the point of being toxic. And you know what we do today with toxicity is remove it from the environment, where actually we should keep it and deal with it.
Excellent.
So, here you are.
That was truly eye-opening to me yesterday. Can you give an example how this could be applied in a daily setting?
Yes, I think the easiest way to go about this is think about events. For instance, a conference or whatever event you will be participating in the future. Events generally have a very well delineated content, and you enroll, or you know that you're going to participate in it, and it's sometime in the future, and you know what is expected from you. So there is some kind of a role that you're going to take in an event. So something is going to, and something will be presented to you, like a conference, and you will be attending and so on, and everything is clear. So from the consciousness part of the mind, there is there's nothing to worry about. But if you then don't have someone who helps you tapping into your subconsciousness around the event, then actually that subconsciousness would never surface. They say, like, yeah, but what then is the subconsciousness around the event? Well, these are the things that play in the background, like, are there any preparations that I should do? Will this event be truly impactful afterwards? Because you're going to invest time in it, money in it, and so on. And we go to an event, and very often an event is forgotten 24 hours later, but then it's actually not worthwhile putting so much money in it. So there's a lot of questions that we can ask also in terms of, should I only sit still and observe and listen? Or is there some sort of a contribution that I can make? But all these questions are not questions that you're typically going to ask yourself. Maybe they play in your background, because what you want, again, is you go to an event, you want to bring out of that event the best for yourself, but also bring the best of yourself to that event. But all that plays in the background. In the subconsciousness, it's just, there's an event, it's a topic, it's interesting, I book it and done.
Excellent. See? Yeah. So this is something we apply every day, because, let's say, our job is a series of events.
Yes. Every day there is an event at work, and every next day is an event. And then you start to see what the potential is. Yes. So indeed, this is the best way of looking at it. So around events, and that can be mundane events, ongoing events at work, but it can also be a specific special interest event. There's always possibility to tap into the subconsciousness, and by doing so, make that event better for yourself and for all the people that you will be attending it with.
Okay, thank you so much for explaining this. I noticed that you didn't look into the camera during this interview. Is there a special reason for it?
It is. Let's say that this interview is kind of an application of what we just said, because when you ask me, like, what is subconsciousness, I have very clear ideas about that, but it's still also something that is hard to put your fingers on. So when you bring people into a conversation where you try to go into their subconsciousness, and you in a way also have gone into my subconsciousness, how can I talk in 5 minutes about subconsciousness? That's not easy. It's hard. Then people get into a fragile space, in a vulnerable space. And when they are vulnerable, they prefer not to look into people's eyes. Why? Because they need to have their mind for themselves. I know that Clayton Christensen of Harvard once said to an audience, like, I'm not going to look at you for the next 30 minutes because I find you important. And because you deserve the best of my thoughts. Which was really cool, because people normally say, like, if they don't look at me, they're not interested in me. Maybe the people who don't look at you are most interested in you.
Okay.
So there you are.
Thank you for your time
You're
and
welcome.
for your insights.
You're welcome.
Okay.